Let's head overseas next, where the deal that was so close to getting done yesterday is now complete. Beginning on Friday, Israel has agreed to a 4-day pause in fighting in Gaza, and in exchange, Hamas will begin releasing at least 50 hostages. The pause has the potential to be extended if Hamas agrees to release more of the 240 people it took during the October 7th attacks. Blasts keep pummeling the Gaza Strip today as the Israeli military keeps up its ground offensive against Hamas in the north until the truce begins. The Army spokesperson saying, "At the moment we are focusing on the war. What we did today is to expose Hamas tunnels and destroy them. We'll continue to do until we arrive at the stage where we have to stop." The Israeli military releasing video of what it says are the Hamas tunnels under the Al-Shifa hospital as it continues to search the grounds where it says Hamas has an underground command center.
Now we are in the tunnel just below the Qatari building that you saw outside. There is rooms that helps the Hamasis to stay here.
The Israel Defense Forces displaying the military equipment and weapons they say they have discovered just in the last 2 days at Al-Shifa.
What you're seeing now here around me, it's only for the last 2 days.
Israeli airstrikes in the southern city of Khan Yunis destroyed several residential buildings, killing and wounding several Palestinians. The devastation not far from a mass burial of dozens of people killed in previous strikes. The people put to rest here are unidentified. All the cemeteries in Gaza are full, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. The humanitarian situation remains awful, but analysts say the imminent truce will help.
The truce will be significant for humanitarian aid because it will allow for a large number of humanitarian aid trucks and convoys to enter the Gaza Strip.
Israel's cabinet approved the truce deal late last night, a 4-day pause in hostilities and the release of 150 Palestinian women and children prisoners in exchange for the release of 50 female and child hostages held by Hamas. Israel is also allowing hundreds of aid and fuel trucks into Gaza as part of the deal, a deal brokered by representatives from the U.S., Egypt, and Qatar.
We've managed to get the parties to agree on the releases systematically. In other words, there will be an organized schedule allowing the releases in each day.
Israel insists it will resume military operations after the 4-day pause, which is now set to begin Friday morning. But the deal could be extended by an additional day for every 10 hostages Hamas releases. For more on this, I'm joined by former Canadian ambassador to Israel, Jon Allen. He's a senior fellow at the Munk School of Global Affairs and the chair of Project Rozana Canada, a nonprofit that builds bridges between Israelis and Palestinians. Jon, can you give us an idea of the behind the scenes that goes into getting a hostage deal like this done?
This was a deal that was apparently more or less agreed about 2 weeks ago, but I understand that the Israelis weren't comfortable because they hadn't made enough progress in trying to deal with Hamas leadership, military and political. But the pressure in Israel was building. So you had a situation where you had to work out what is the reciprocal deal going to be? How many Palestinians are going to be released for how many Israelis? Which type of hostages are going to be released? In this case, they've agreed it's going to be women and children. On the Palestinian side, these aren't babies and children. These are mostly teenagers that are in Israeli jails. None have blood on their hands. And in the case of the Israelis, it's going to be the women, and also women who have children. They'll be coming out with their children as well. It would have been extremely complicated, both logistically and the terms. Hamas doesn't have control of all of the hostages, so they're going to have to gather these women and children, and apparently they're going to release The names, they're going to be doing 10 a day, and they'll be releasing the names in the evening before the Israeli families will find out, and the hostages will be released, taken to hospitals, and then move on to the next day.
What do you think is the likelihood of this holding for the whole 4 days?
Well, I'm hopeful it will. It will really depend on whether the terms and conditions are met by both sides. If Hamas doesn't try and take advantage of this by firing any rockets, and if Israel abides by the terms of not having any aircraft or drones flying over, then I think it will move ahead. It's in both countries' interests not to do anything that would impede it. Hamas will look better in front of the world by releasing women and children. Israel will meet one of its main goals, one that's been increasingly important.
The UN Security Council is calling for a longer truce. Do you think this could be extended and perhaps even lead to ceasefire talks?
Bibi Netanyahu has said that this is a pause and that Israel will continue to pursue Hamas afterwards. Clearly, the longer it's extended, the more likely that it could move into something more like a ceasefire than just a humanitarian pause. My own sense is that within Israel, there'll be pressure once they get as many hostages out as they can to then, quote, finish the job, unquote, whatever that means.
That's Jon Allen, former Canadian ambassador to Israel. Jon, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you, Matt.